A security fence for Israel. The Palestinians call it the apartheid wall. It's more than 3 years since the Israelis began building a massive barrier, part fence, part concrete structure, designed, they say, to keep out terrorist attacks from the Palestinian authorities. But critics say it's less about security than annexing Palestinian land and expanding settlements. A report out this week by the Israeli organisation Bil'in shows the barriers carving its way through the West Bank, pushing Palestinian communities into a series of enclaves. Inigo Gilmore has spent the last week in Bil'in, split in two by the barrier, where residents have been involved in 2 years of non-violent protest.
Now we're going straight to the fence. We'll reach the gate. The people will demand to go over to their land behind the fence. The soldier will prevent them. And then we'll see how it will develop.
Develop it does, almost inevitably, into confrontation. The soldiers face down Palestinian protesters and Israeli activists who've come to support them. Such scenes might appear familiar, but the story of Bil'in is far from usual. Today, the residents are trying to reach their land on the far side of the barrier. Non-violent protests have been staged in this village for 2 years without pause, even as the injured have piled up. Bil'in is a symbol of resistance for many Palestinians. Don't you have a heart, he asked the soldier.
Clashes have been taking place every Friday. It's almost become a routine now in Bil'in. The question is, do Israelis know about this, or do they really even care?
Across the valley from Bil'in, the constant clatter of giant drilling machines. Hungry diggers plough on round the clock. Here in Modi'in Elite, now the biggest West Bank settlement, new apartment blocks are being thrown up by the dozen, filled by large Orthodox families. Accusations that the community is being developed on stolen Palestinian land evokes scant sympathy.
They had this land for all these years, so why didn't they do anything with it? All the land round here is Israel. It's ours.
But the dispute over Bil'in's land will not go away. The villagers have taken their case to Israel's Supreme Court. Settler leaders hope that in time the protest noises will just die away.
They are not protecting their country. They are protecting the interest of millionaires. The only people that have benefits of this route of defense on Bil'in are those multimillionaires.
For the past 2 years, Shai Pollack has documented the villagers' fight against the wall's construction. His film, Bil'in Habibti, is an eye-opener. The film shows how Israeli security forces try everything to break the village's resistance.
מסתבר שמדובר במסתערבים. שוטרים רעולי פנים שהתחזו למפגינים פלסטינים כדי ליצור את הרושם שההפגנה אלימה.
Undercover police come to stir up trouble. It documents too how the villagers chain themselves to olive trees in a desperate attempt to save them.
هل هذا المجرم في مكاني سيبقيني؟ אתה יודע שזאת התזה כמאות שנים. אז מתי שאתה קוראת אותם ועוקר ומשתיל מחדש, אפילו שאתה משתיל מחדש, נראה לי מתייבשים.
But many trees are uprooted, and disabled Palestinians join the demonstrations.
מה נשמע, שי?
בסדר, אבל אתה...
יופי, על הכיפק, אז תחזיר את כל החבר'ה פנימה, אין הפגנה.
בסדר, אבל אתם יריתם עליהם בלי זה, זה מצועד. לא היה כלום, צחי, באמת.
לא, אני לא מאפשר פה יותר הפגנה.
Bil'in's villagers argue that there's no security logic to the route of the barrier, which it's estimated has swallowed up nearly 10% of West Bank Palestinian land.
They're planning to, by the maps, to fill all of this area by the settlement, making our life is difficult. It's not for security. If you want to make the wall, you must not put it in the valley. If for the security, you must put it in the hill.
But Israel has continued to insist that their barrier is just a temporary measure. But these days, there's an increasingly permanent look and feel to it. All across the West Bank, sections of wall and fence are being carved into the landscape. A report out this week, funded by the British government and produced by Israeli rights organisation Bimcom, says the wall traps 250,000 Palestinians in 21 enclaves. It isolates Palestinian communities while maintaining Israeli settlers' fabric of life, and it cuts Palestinians from their land, jobs and healthcare, with further implications for land appropriation. The report cites this enclave, Bir Nebala, spanning 5 villages, where residents have lived for generations. They are now cut off from nearby Jerusalem and will soon only be able to leave through tunnels yet to be built. But in a statement to Channel 4 News, Israel's Defense Ministry denies the security fence is creating enclaves, insisting it does not close any village or city. The Defense Ministry stated that Israel's Supreme Court is satisfied the measures provided aim to lessen the effects of the legitimate and necessary construction of the fence. The Defense Ministry said the security fence is a defensive measure whose aim is to save lives. It causes hardships, but in a reality of terror and suicide bombers, it's only natural and expected to use defensive measures. Still, it's a temporary construction, and in a reality of trust, cooperation and peace, there'll be no need for it, and we'll be happy to dismantle it. Their claims that Shai Pollack rejects. He insists his film exposes a lie, revealing that the wall's construction serves the interests of settlers and their real estate partners.
My film calls for action. It's more than just showing what's going on. It calls for people to act. When you see all the corruption and people don't trust the government and the authorities on any level, but whenever it comes to security, then they shut their mouths. I say people don't trust the authorities in this level too, and do something against the occupation.
If Israelis don't heed those calls, he says, they'll be sowing seeds of future conflict. A conflict which might be passed on to the next generation, and maybe even the one after. Inigo Gilmore, Channel 4 News, in Bil'in on the West Bank.
Well, moving